your head. You could look forward. Hello, restore 45. Apologies for repeating myself. We're starting on the wall. Pretend like the wall is in front of me. We're just going to be stretching however it makes sense. So you could have one hand a little bit higher, and you can kind of lean more to one side. You know, your feet can be involved and move differently in order to support you. So you don't have to be like, oh, I started here and I have to stay exactly like this, right? Like, give yourself permission to move and shift depending on sensation and what you're noticing. Just a lot of sort of curiosity here. Maybe sticking away with, or sort of shying away from the stuff that really doesn't feel good and being more sort of willing to pause and linger and breathe deeper in the places that do feel either helpful and or just straight up good. We'll take about 6 more breaths. So just checking this out. Again, there's no right or wrong. Great, take a big breath in, and then kind of shift towards the wall and come off for just a moment and drop those arms. Give yourself a moment. We're going to be revisiting, but we're going to add our legs a little bit here. So in a moment, if you need to look at me, no problem, but we're going to face the wall. We're going to have our feet a touch wider than hip distance. And we're going to have our left leg back a little bit more than the right. And just depending on the distance, your heel may touch, it may not. So you're just going to play around with the distance that feels good. Some people like to just elevate and drop it. Some people like to find a place where the heel touches and just hang out. So you're going to do one or the other. And take a few breaths. Relax your jaw. Try to breathe deeply down to that belly. All right, so I want you to notice the position you're in. If your heel can't touch, I would like you to adjust and find a place where the heel can touch on the left side. So the right knee is as bent as you need. Left heel needs to touch. Great, and then we're going to try to just lift it to a hover. Lift it to a hover, and then try to invite a bend to the left knee. Breathe. Keep a bend to the left knee, and then try to slow motion like you're taking an elevator as high as you can lift that left heel. Breathe. Push into the wall if you need it. Great. Back to that hover slow motion. Then let that heel eventually drop, and then invite that straightening to the left leg. Drop the weight of your head. Take 2 deep breaths. Relax your jaw. Great. Go ahead and find a subtle lift to the left heel, just a hover. Invite a bend to the left knee. Take 2 deep breaths there. I'm going to slow lift up to the highest point you can lift that left heel with a bend of the knee still. Slowly take it back to that hover. Once you get to that hover, take a deep breath in. Great. Straighten the leg and drop that heel. Drop the weight of your head. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Great. Kind of look forward, shift forward. Take yourself to a mountain pose. We're going to turn so that our left arm and side is facing the wall. And we're going to figure out the distance. It just depends on your body. You're going to slide that left leg kind of behind the right, so it's pinky edge to like heel, arch, or pinky edge to heel. And then just reach that left arm up the wall as much as you want, and then you're just going to dip your hips into the wall. So you can kind of bounce and recoil in and out. You could just pause into that lean. Take a couple breaths. About 3 more inhales, 3 more exhales. Great, and then come off the wall by slowly unhooking those feet. Drop that arm heavy. Just stand in mountain pose for a second. So even footing. All right, so we're gonna need to find the thing that we can slide our foot on. So my friends that are standing on your mat, you're gonna kind of need to come onto a place that we can slide these towels. So everybody at the studio, we have a towel. Again, if you're on carpet, maybe step onto a magazine, a paper plate. We're gonna have the right side of our body facing the wall now. So the idea is that our right hand is gonna be on the wall for support because the right leg is gonna be moving backward. But the actual thing that we're trying to work on is this left hamstring. Because what we're going to do is, I'm doing the opposite so you guys can see me. So we're going to slide that right leg back. Right heel can lift, or you can just head back to where you're just barely hovering. And now I'm going to try to scissor my legs by squeezing this left hamstring and pulling that leg back. So did I say back? Yeah, back. Okay. So right hand's on the wall. You're sliding that leg back. You can go deep into a lunge. And then I'm going to try a straight leg, but not locking out the knee. So I keep a subtle bend. I'm going to try to pull that right leg up. So my hand is giving me support. And then kind of soften and then find a distance back. Again, this left leg, think about the hamstring is scissoring and pulling that leg up. Okay, we're going to do this about 5 more times. So finding some effort here. I'm kind of pressing down through my left heel. I'm figuring out a distance where I can tap into that back line on the left side and hopefully those lateral stabilizers so I'm not just swaying my left hip out to the side. Great, let's take one more round. Don't be married to the 5 rounds. Don't worry about how many you did or didn't do. Great, and then come off your prop, come off the wall. We're gonna come into ragdoll. Sweep your arms out, take a big breath in. Exhale, forward fold. Knees can be as bent as you want. Belly can hang out on your thighs. You could grab opposite elbow or just drop those arms and drop the crown of your head. Just try to give yourself a few deep, deep breaths, noticing any side-to-side differences. Stillness, or it might feel nice to rock a little bit, but we just worked and pumped those hamstring muscles, which can be hard to actually tone. Most people have really tight and strong quads and tight and weak hamstrings. Great, 2 more deep breaths. Coming back to mountain nice and slow. So if you got to bind, release it. Maybe drop those hips a little bit, roll the rise. When your shoulders stack over your hips, roll them up with an inhale. Back and down, exhale. Great, roll them up with an inhale. Back and down, exhale. All right, we're gonna shift left side body on the wall. This time we're gonna take our left hand on the wall. I want you to just reach up to the sky, but like, you're gonna figure it out. We want the palm flat and we want the elbows slightly bent because the idea is that we're gonna try to squeeze around the armpit area, this lat pec, to pull down. So I'm trying to pull down on the wall. So I'm kind of cupping my fingers. So if you're really close to the wall and your arm's crazy straight, it's going to be more challenging. So you can always be a big step off. Try not to be leaning into the wall either. Try to sort of be standing upright, neutral shoulders, neutral hips, and just kind of effort pulling down, not 100% effort, especially if you've torn your rotator cuff, just some effort, maybe over 50%. So if you're not already pulling in or down, cup those fingertips, try to pull down, breathe, breathe, breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2, big breath in. Exhale, soften and just hang out here for a second. Great, and then slide that arm forward on the wall and drop it down by your side. All right, we're gonna take that hip stretch, again, that side body stretch. If you wanna add the left arm and not be on the wall, you can do that. So what that'll look like is feet come closer, left leg threads behind, pinky to pinky, left hand on the wall and dip those hips into the wall, or reach that left arm up and over your head to the right. So now you're adding that whole left side functional line, if you like. If it feels like too big of a balance challenge, that wall is already always there. So you can kind of reach and then come all the way out. Great, just a couple more breaths. Great, and coming all the way up, arm drops all the way down, nice and heavy. Unthread those feet, stand in mountain for a moment. Maybe roll the shoulders up as you breathe in. Back and down, breathe out. Great, turn around. We're gonna do those hamstring curls again. So right hand on the wall, right foot on that towel, stand about hip width distance. And then again, you're just gonna play around with figuring out the distance back. So I got to bend the right knee, I'm lifting my right hand, sliding that back. And then this is where it's gonna play around with, I need to ignite. So I'm driving my left heel down. I'm trying to pull through my left hamstring to pull that leg back. So it's like effort is pushing down a little bit through the mound of my toe. Try to hug and pull from that left hamstring. Great, a few more rounds. you guys see what I'm talking about? Okay. It got real serious, so I feel like we're working those hammies. Okay, let's take one more round. You can step off your prop if you'd like. Arm off the wall, sweep up and out when you're ready. Take a big breath in. Ragdoll one more time. So you can grab onto something or just let everything drop. Try to relax for sure at the back of the skull. So notice if you're just holding your head at a goofy angle. We all do it. Knees are as bent as you need. Maybe, again, just be curious about side to side. We've been pumping and working that left side hamstring. Haven't really done it to the right yet. Good. One more inhale. Exhale to release. Bend those knees a lot. Find that really slow journey back up to mountain. And once your shoulders stack, don't rush yourself. Roll them up, back, and away a couple times. Right, we're going to take a hopefully nice, easy stretch on that left shoulder now. So we're going to have our left hand on the wall with our thumb up. So the distance that you're away from the wall is really the length of your arm. And then with the thumb up, we're trying to isolate a little bit more into the pec minor and major. So as long as you're feeling any kind of stretch around the front of that arm bone and the pec area, you're good. If you would like, some people like to rotate their torso and chest towards the center of the room. Some people like to actually pivot and turn their feet towards the center of the room. I just don't want you to really force this here. So we do this fully weight bearing on the earth a lot, right? Like in a class where we stick our arm out and then rotate our hips and stuff. So just thinking about that's sort of what we're doing, but we don't want to force the range of motion. I want you to relax that right arm. I want you to relax around the jaw, the base of your skull. The sensation is something that you can continue to breathe through. You're in a good spot. If not, back off. We're going to take 3 more deep belly breaths. All right, one more time. Full breath in, full breath out. If you rotate it with your feet, your torso at all to the center of the room, you're going to pivot more to the side, and then everybody start pivoting towards the wall, and then kind of just drop that left arm off. Hands back on the wall, step that left leg back. We're just going to take some calf raises. So the distance, again, is really up to you. The distance between, like if you're standing on railroad tracks or a tightrope, and then the distance back. So you don't have to be in a position where the heel touches naturally. I'm kind of taking it where I wouldn't be able to touch the heel. I'm just taking it to where I can find a nice deep stretch, and then I'm going to lift and lower nice and slow and deliberately here. Only going through a range of motion that is helpful. Great, and then again, find that shift forward as you lift your left heel, step back to mountain. One more thing on this left arm. So this time we are going to be left arm straight into the wall. Fingertips are going to point up this time, and we want it to be about shoulder height. If that's too intense, you're going to be lower. Try to not be above. Couple things you can do. You can play around with leaning in towards the wall and bending the elbow a little bit, or you can just keep this arm straight and drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. What I like to do is I like to inhale, push the earth away so my elbow is straight, and I draw that right ear towards the right shoulder, and then I exhale, lift my crown, and I bend my elbow and lean into the wall a little bit. I do that about 3 to 4 times, and then I just kind of hang out with that straight elbow, ear to shoulder, just because that feels crazy tight at that 90-degree angle for me. This is where tons of nerves come out of the spine and innervate all of our arms and some of the upper torso. So usually creates a lot of sensation. So right ear can be towards right shoulder. It could be staying there. It could be lifting and lowering. You can also play around with your gaze. You could just kind of keep that right ear towards the right shoulder and roll your nose around like you're drawing an infinity symbol or little circles. Relax your jaw. Notice if you're gritting your teeth. Notice if you're squeezing your belly. Try to soften your belly, breathe there 2 more times. Full inhales, expanding diaphragmatically to that breath. Exhale everything out. Great, one more time. Great job. And then if your right ear's by your right shoulder, slowly start to lift the crown. And then however lazily, easily you can, just slide that left arm off. Let's stand in mountain for a moment, either arms by your sides, palms forward, or hands at your heart. Maybe close your eyes as long as that feels helpful or comfortable to you. Take 3 breaths. Great, one more time. Full inhale, full exhale. We're going to be coming down to our right knee with our right side close to the wall. So this is where I'm going to use my mat and double it down. So ladies that are here, watch me real quick. I'm going to roll up my mat 1 or 2 times and put it against the wall. I'm going to come off the wall so you can't see me though, Sheila. And then I'm going to be with my right knee down. You could be on the top of your foot or toes are curled. I'm sorry, my right foot is down, my left knee is down. And I'm trying to take this lateral right hip and knee and thigh into the wall. All right, so kind of figure out that position for you. So you're on your left knee, I'm doubling down my mat. And then I'm going to take my right arm in front of me. The palm is facing out into the center of the room. So right leg is, yeah, perfect. So you're going to be up on the wall, Sheila, with that hip and leg. Because we're going to be trying to push into the wall. So right arm's going forward, and then take that left arm to match it. And then I'm going to be pushing the lateral part, all the parts touching the wall with my right arm. I'm going to keep it there. I'm going to push into the wall with what's touching the wall. I'm going to slowly start to peel open that left arm out towards the center of the room, and I'm going to continue to rotate as much as my thoracic spine will let me. Okay? And then I'm going to slowly come back. I'd love for you to do this really slow 10 times. So if your cervical spine, your neck is really, really tight, you can keep your gaze forward or sort of a little bit neutral with your shoulders. Hopefully over some time, you're going to actually get some freeing up of those tissues, especially in the shoulder blade area of the thoracic spine. Otherwise, you follow that left thumb with your gaze. And hopefully by the number 10, maybe you get a little bit more range of motion, but certainly don't overthink it if you're not getting any more. Great, about 10 total, but again, this idea of not being overly controlling about having to do all 10, but 10's a good number for this kind of rotation and rep. So I got one more after this. And then when we're done with this, we're going to come to our back and take our legs up the wall. I'm going to give you choices. So if you're like, whew, I just need a second, I want to do down dog, child's pose. If you want to take tabletop and take some cat cows for a little bit more symmetrical, feel free. Otherwise, if you'd like, you can unwind your mat if it's a little too goofy for you. Drop to your hips, scoot your butt to the wall, and take your legs up there. So we'll be here for about 3 minutes. I'll let you know when we're halfway through. Option to keep your legs up with a nice soft knee the entire time. Maybe arms out to a T or maybe hands onto your chest. If you'd like to take your legs out wide, you're going to hit those inner thighs. You could also take a modified version with sort of butterfly on the wall where the pinky edge of your foot is on the wall. Feet don't actually have to touch. They can kind of separate. You could take frog, right? Sort of like you're doing a squat on the wall. So you decide, take your time getting there. And once you kind of get to a shape where you're going to hang out and be and breathe, take 3 full breaths in and out the nose. And try to just absorb all those things you did. It doesn't mean you have to run back through them in your mind, but just physically be here in stillness, absorbing the movement, the energy you created. Thanking yourself for rolling out your mat this evening. Notice if there's any pockets of resistance in the physical body, whether it's in the thinking mind as well. I'm just trying to loosen that grip of effort here, doing less. Take a deep breath in and a full breath out. And we're halfway, so if you'd like to do something different, feel free, or just know that we have about 30 more breaths. And we'll be here for 10 more breaths. Full inhale, complete exhale. And if you're in a more hip stretch or place like legs out, butterfly, or frog, start to wiggle your fingers and adjust your legs so that you can move slow and help yourself out. If your legs are up the wall, when you're ready, you can just slowly draw your thighs in or just bend your knees. You could hug your knees in. You could rock a little bit side to side, allowing the lower back to kind of massage a little bit. But we're going to be standing up. I know it sounds terrible now that we've been down. We're going to stand up and do that all on the other side, but I'm going to give you a full minute before we have to stand up and I'll start talking again. So if you'd like to be on your back a little bit longer, if you would like to take like toes pose, child's pose, downward facing dog, if there's just something maybe more symmetrical that would help you sort of get back to it or start to connect breath and movement again, that would be helpful. Do that before you rush to a full standing position. We'll all meet there eventually. But taking your time, coming up to a stand, if you'd like to take mountain for a few breaths, or if you'd like, the very first thing we did, which I wasn't going to necessarily repeat, but if you stood up and you want to, it was just, we just kind of came to the wall and took our hands to the wall and played around with different hand positions. If you want to do that, feel free for a moment. Otherwise, in about 5 breaths, I'm going to begin that other series that we did. Great, so we will come to a position where we're looking at the wall, our hands are on the wall, our feet are a little bit wider than hip distance. And then this time the the right leg is the one back a little bit more. So you're gonna figure it out, remember? And the first thing we're gonna do is just kind of stretch a little bit, trying to seek that right heel back. So it doesn't matter if it touches or not, but we'll adjust here in a moment to make sure that we're in a spot where it does. But just checking out this side. Great. All right. So let's take a big breath in, a big breath out. And then if you're not in a place where that heel can touch, then try to adjust so that it can touch. So it might be wider, shorter, and have a little bit more of a straightening of the knee, but there's that micro bend. But we're going to try to hover our right heel just a centimeter. So see if that turns on those calf muscles, the gastrocs. And then we're going to invite a bend to that right knee. It's going to try to hit that deeper calf muscle, the soleus. And then from here, we're going to slowly try to lift that right heel as high as we can. We're still kind of pushing down effort-wise into the mounds of the toes. Right, and then slow descending back to that hover. Once you get to that hover, try to straighten the leg again without walking it out. Take a big breath in. Exhale, let that heel drop. Right, soften through the jaw and the neck. And do that one more round. So when you're ready, find a little hover. See if you push down through the mounds of the toes, it turns on the calves. Then find that slow bend of the right knee, as little or as much as you want. And then a real slow lifting up to the highest height that you can get to with that right heel. And then a real slow descent back to that hover. Great. Once you get to your hover, try to straighten out that right leg, take a big breath in, and then let that right heel settle down. Great. Drop the weight of your head, take a big breath in and a big breath out. Great. And kind of look towards the wall, shift towards the wall, and step forward and drop those arms. Great, we're gonna turn so our right hip is on the wall. We're gonna take that side body stretch with the right arm on the wall. So walk your feet closer, thread the right foot behind this time, and then option just to kind of dip those hips into the wall. You could walk the arm up higher if you'd like. Left hand maybe at your hips or by your side. Great, relax your jaw. Take a big breath in and a big breath out. And then slowly lift that right hip away from the wall, arm drops, leg unwinds. Stabilize your feet in mountain pose for a moment. Great, and then we're gonna slide our right arm up the wall. So we don't want our elbows super bent out because we are gonna try to pull down energetically. I really like to do it through my fingertips. It doesn't mean the palm of the hand is off. So if you're sitting really close to the wall, it's gonna be a lot more challenging. So you could be out a full body's distance, but you're trying to energetically pull down and think about like 60, 70% max, right? If you're at that edge where you're like, this is all I could possibly do, like back off. So pulling down, breathing, give it some effort. Relax your jaw. We're here for 3, 2, one more inhale with some effort. Exhale, soften all that effort. Great, take a big breath in and then just kind of slide that arm off. Great job. We're going to be shifting so that the left side of our body is next to the wall, and we're going to find our little towel. So left side is facing, so that means the towel or magazine or whatever you're using to slide is under your foot. So this time we want the right leg to be sort of driving and scissoring and pulling that left leg back to center. So you're going to figure out the hand's going to be there the whole time for support. Left knee's kind of bent, start to slide it out behind you, figure out what works, and then like you're pulling that right hamstring to pull that left leg back. Great, and then find that bend to the left knee, and then maybe it straightens, and then pull back. Okay, so the effort is in the mounds of the right toes, maybe even into that right heel. Right knee can bend if you need to, especially at that start. Pulling back. Great, maybe it's only a couple inches back just to get the feel for it, or maybe you have an injury, if you have a hamstring injury, maybe it feels like you can't go as deep. Pulling back. Again, trying to pump these hamstrings. Pull it forward. Great, take one more round. Great, and then slowly coming off your props, arms by your side when you're ready. Inhale, sweep your arms up to the sky. Exhale, come to a ragdoll. Grabbing onto something or just letting everything hang. Stillness or a little bit of movement. And if you're wiggling around, find some stillness. Drop the weight to the back of the head. Big breath in, big breath out. Release your bind. Slowly make your way back to mountain. Once your shoulders stack, roll them up, back and away. Do that one more time with the breath. Great job. We're going to take that left arm up to the wall. We're going to take that side body stretch, but if you would like to just come off the wall with the left arm this time, you could take it into that whole side. So left foot threads behind right. Either left arm is kind of walking up, or add that left arm to reach up and over. So taking that full side body stretch if you would like. Relax your jaw. All right, one more inhale, one more exhale. Coming all the way out when it makes sense to you. That wall is there for support. Unthread those feet. Stand in mountain pose and look for your little prop to step your left foot on that. We're going to take our second round. Great. So whenever you're ready, again, just start to slide that left leg back. Right knee can be bent once you head back kind of in a lunge, and then pull it all the way forward to stand all the way up. As little or as much as you need. Both sort of this action in the feet. So my left foot's pulling forward, my right foot is kind of energetically pulling back. That's what's going to hit that back line on the right side. Relax your jaw, effort in that lower body, both the right hamstring, maybe the left one feels fatigued because we already did it. Also working that side, right hip stabilizers, which is added bonus here. Great, last one coming out fully. When you're ready, find your mountain, arms by your sides, off your prop or hands at your heart. Take a couple breaths. And last time for ragdoll, sweeping up. When you're ready, breathe in. Take it to a forward fold, breathe out. Knees are as bent as you'd like or as you need. Great, 3 more deep breaths. Great, releasing a bind. If you got it, bend your knees a lot. Heels down, navel slightly up, roll to rise. One more time when your shoulders head over those hips, roll them up, back and away. And then one more time with your breath. All right, so passive stretch on that pec. We'll have our right arm on the wall. Oh my God, did we do this wrong side body stretch? Yeah. Shit. All right, so, no, wait, that was right, wasn't it? Am I losing my mind? Yeah, I'm losing my mind. I'm sorry. So let's turn around really quick. We're going to do 2 things. We're going to take the side body stretch in the proper way. We're going to be super open on the left side. And then we'll take our arm stretch. So right hand on the wall, thread that right leg around. Am I losing my mind? Is it right?
No, we started with our left side, and then we were supposed to move to our right, but she did.
Yes, I didn't pivot on the one twist. Okay, yeah, that's what it is. So feet together, spread your right foot around, right arm on the wall, dip those hips into the wall, or take that right arm up and over. And apologies for losing my mind. There's a couple more breaths here. Ebbing and flowing, or if you like to lean into it and pause. All right, and come on out when you're ready. Unthread those feet about hip width distance. This time it's really going to depend on your arm length and then how you want to pivot, but we'll have the right arm, correct arm, on the wall. Thumb is going to point up, right? So your arm distance away. Stance is really up to you. Could be super wide. Try to not like lean into the wall. We're looking to have more of the stretch here. So if anything, it's height of your shoulder or a little bit lower. Try to not be above. And then again, you're either just here because this is enough of a stretch, or some people like to pivot their torso, their chest, even their feet towards the center of their room. That's just depending on how little or how much stretch you want here, you like here. I tend to, especially on my dominant arm, which is my right side, I tend to hike up. So notice if you're hiking up, can you kind of soften the traps out of the ears? Relax your bottom jaw away from the top. Feel free to close your eyes. Great, let's take 2 more deep breaths. All right, so if you shifted anything towards the center of the room, feet, chest, pivot to the right, and then keep pivoting towards the wall and eventually just kind of drop that arm heavy off. Hopefully that weird length sort of feels a little bit more even if you felt any different. Right, and then rotating so the right side body is on the wall one final time. This time we're gonna have our fingertips are gonna point up. Again, heel of the palm at the height of the shoulder or a little bit lower, try to not be above. And you can play around with, I really like to sort of inhale and straighten my elbow, left ear, left shoulder, and then I kind of lean towards the wall and lift my crown. I do that just to check out those tissues to see how they're feeling. Usually this is asymmetrical in the neck if you have neck issues, so just being mindful, doing as little or as much as you want here. Another option is just staying in that elbow sort of straight without locking out awkwardly. Just let your left ear drop towards your left shoulder. You could also stay here and play around with rolling your gaze down, rolling it up, drawing infinity or little circles with your nose. Whatever feels helpful, right? It's a good word to keep coming back to as we move in our bodies. Just because I sort of offer something up doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be helpful to you this evening or at any point. Try to let that bottom jaw drop away from the top. We're going to take 3 more deep belly breaths. Okay, wherever you're on that breath, we're going to take 1 more nice full inhale and a full exhale. Great, find some stillness, lift the crown of the head if it's not already nice and slow, and then however it makes sense to just lazily drop that right arm off. Great, let's face the wall 1 more time, and we're going to step that right leg back for just a nice passive sort of heel calf stretch. So just be mindful of your props. Stepping that right foot back. Again, the right heel doesn't need to touch, so the distance is really up to you. Arms can be in the wall for support. You can lift and lower that calf or just kind of keep it back and let it sink. You could play around with tucking the tail and flaring it up. Relax your jaw, breathe through your belly. 1 more inhale, 1 more exhale. Find a sort of slow shift forward, lift of that right heel, step your right foot to meet the left, drop those arms out the wall. Roll your shoulders up with an inhale, back and down, exhale. We're going to take that thoracic opening on the other side, and then we're going to take our legs up the wall again. So finding props that make sense to you so that you're going to you'll be on your right knee this time with your left knee bent, left foot down, and you want that whole lateral side of the hip into the wall to actually push into the wall a little bit eccentrically, and then we'll be peeling open through that right arm. So as much cushion underneath that right knee, that would be helpful. I'm sorry, right knee, left foot. You're on the top of your right foot, or those toes are curled. Again, the outer left hip, outer left knee are into the wall. The foot's really up to you. And then your left shoulder's in the wall. You're going to reach your left arm forward. Palm is facing out to the center of the room. And take your right palm to meet the left. And then try to, that lateral arm, the hairy part of your forearm, push it into the wall and push that outer left hip into the wall. And slowly the next time you inhale, start to take your right arm out and open as much or as little as it feels like you can. Right? Nice and slow. Move really slow. Pay attention to what you're feeling. Keep trying to give a little bit of effort into that wall for feedback. And then something to think about gaze. Remember, you can keep it neutral forward. You could open up a little bit towards the center of the room when you move that arm. Or you could play around by taking your gaze with your right thumb. And hopefully after about 10 rounds, it feels like maybe you get a little bit of opening to where, you know, maybe there's a larger range of motion, maybe not. But just be curious, side to side. Does this feel easier, worse? Let's take just 1 or 2 more rounds. And then the dropping into Shavasana. So if you really don't like legs up the wall, then please don't take legs up the wall. If you like legs up the wall, then now is the time to slowly either head there, or again, if you want to do something symmetrical in your body, like cat, cow, down dog, child's pose for a moment, feel free to do that, right? But coming to a shape, eventually that would be restorative, again, helpful. supporting your entire being. So not just one part of you, so your whole body. I want you to consider all of you, your head, your neck, your fingers, your toes, your hips. Feel free to stay as you are for as long as you'd like. If you would prefer to sort of come out of the shape that you're in and your practice in a seat, then you can start by just taking a big breath in and a big breath out, and be moving slowly through fingers and toes, wrists and ankles, allowing for maybe a hug in, a stretch out, or maybe a counterbalance to a side if you'd like. Making your way there to a seat only if you'd like, nice and easy and slow. Feel free to use the wall behind you if you're still close to it. And around the midline, which helps support us and is sort of this strong center, allow it to soften for now. So that space between our eyes, the center of our throat, center of our chest, that center pit of our belly. Relax there and take 3 easy breaths. If you'd like, hands to your heart, chin slightly in, honor your efforts, honoring your practice. There's an essence of light within me, but it merely reflects the essence of light in all of you. And to that, I thank you. Deep breath in. Namaste. Have a wonderful night. Thank you for joining in person and afar.